Hello everybody, how you doing? It's me, Pep the Poet again, and Lee's asked me to say a few words to you. I spoke to you before Christmas. We spoke about just handling every day, you know, the little demons that take over our brain and, try and trip us up. And I think we talked about don't get in the ring. Remember that? Don't get fighting with people that want you to fight with them. Fear tells lies was one of them. Great one was like, ground yourself in today. Is it happening today? And if it's not happening today, don't worry about it. I think finally we spoke about an attitude of gratitude. But what I'm going to talk to you today about is something I'm very, very knowledgeable about. Do you remember Mastermind? And you had to go on your chosen subject. I think this would be mine, and it's anxiety and worrying about worrying. I used to worry there was nothing to worry about, but I don't today. And I said, do I get? Yes, of course I get anxious. You've got to get anxious because you've got to have a certain amount of anxiety in your life. Because if you didn't have any anxiety, we'd all be going around. We wouldn't turn up for appointments, or we wouldn't. When I'm going on holiday, I'm anxious about getting there on time. When my children were younger, I was anxious about getting to the school on time because if I wasn't there, that'd have consequences. When you're doing your driving test, you're anxious, all that sort of thing. Many times, if you went in the shop, thought, I fancy that watch, I'll walk out. You can't because you're anxious. The fact that you're getting caught. So, if there was no anxiety, the world would be mental. So. But the anxiety I'm talking about, and I think the difference between that anxiety and the anxiety that I used to suffer was, and that's that word, you can experience anxiety when you're trying to get to the airport on time. You've got all your family in the back or your partner, and you've got all your suitcases, and you're anxious to get there. That's a good anxiety. But I think it's the difference between experience anxiety and suffering from anxiety. And it's that suffering that really trips people up. I looked earlier on, and Lisa to me, you say a few things about anxiety, and I looked up the dictionary definition of anxiety, the Collins Dictionary, the Collins Dictionary definition of anxiety. It's a distress or an uneasiness of the mind, caused by fear of danger and misfortune. And there's two key words there for me, of the mind. So it's in your mind. It's not a real thing. It's something that we generate ourselves. And then it's the other word is of. It's caused by fear of something. It's not it's not the actual. It's made up because you're scared of what happens. You're scared of this happens, or you're scared of that happens. And don't get me wrong, I'm still anxious today. Like I spoke to you last time, I'm the man that was on, this time last year, I was on £51,000 a year. And I gave it all up to become a poet. And the first half term I was flying. Like I've said before, I was in, 10 schools and I think 27 classes. And there was 750 children heard my poems. I sold a good number of books. But I've had one gig since November. So my brain will tell me straight away, oh, it's the worst thing you've ever done, David. But I know that's anxiety. And my little tips for today I'm going to give you. And again, if you get something from these, great. If you don't, I'm not trying to lecture you. I'm not trying to be, a smarty pants or whatever. I'm just a man that suffered tremendously from anxiety and depression. And today I don't. And the reason I don't today is because I just put simple measures in place. So I've got a little post-it note. So I want to read off my post-it note. That's my lesson plan for this. That's my lesson plan for tonight's little chat. So first thing, thoughts are things. Remember that. Thoughts are things. A thought is just a thought. It's not a real thing. And our minds are fantastic because if we didn't have imagination, people went to the moon and I write poems and singers sing and chefs create great recipes and writers write and scientists, make new discoveries. So, and they have to think about that. But it's the positive thinking, or it's the difference between like the rumination, sitting there, for years and years, for 5 decades, I used to plan my own death, um, really, that like I said before, that impending doom. It was the trouble with impending doom. It's always impending, and I'd spend there for hours and hours, like clearing the wreckage of my future, all the bad things that were going to happen, and they never ever happened. That's the funny but the sad part about it. I spent hours and hours worrying about things that never ever happened. So just remember, thoughts are things, and we put them there. That's the scary bit about it. It's not somebody saying have these thoughts and put them into your head. We put them there ourselves, and when we do that when we're on holiday, when we're in bed. I remember years ago I was on holiday. I was about 20. I'm 50. Like I said, I'm 57 now. I was in my 20s, and where I went to, it was the old former Yugoslavia. It's Croatia now. And I remember the first day I was on on the days where I could actually get into a canoe, but we were on these little canoes on the sea, and I sat there, I was drifting, I just looked at this blue sea and the sun, and I thought in 2 weeks' time I'm going to be back at Armitage Shanks in the toilet factory, instead of enjoying that moment. So the next thing is, because of that thoughts are things, like I said before, it's all generated by fear, and with the fear, you've got to recognise it and you've got to call it out. It's like if you watch the end of The Wizard of Oz and you pull back the little curtain, everybody's scared of the wizard, and the wizard's scared, a scary thing. But when he pulled back the curtain, it's a little tiny man, with a big voice. And what I do with fear sometimes, in fear, it's been cropping up lately, telling me, you're never going to get a booking again. Your poems are rubbish. Oh, everybody hates you. You're too old. You're frightened kids. All that nonsense. But what I do, I don't act upon it anymore. I think, right, I pull back the curtain. I said, right, come on then, out you come. And I stand in front of him. And my fear's a little tiny, funny looking little thing. And I'm saying, listen, mate, I know you're there and I know what you're trying to do, but, you're not there. You're a figment of my imagination. But you're that strong, I can't get rid of you. But you're there, but shut up and know your place. So that's me. Next one is have clear boundaries. Really important to have clear boundaries. And that's things like when you get home at night. Have you noticed I'm being very sensible tonight? I'm wearing a cardigan. But when you get home at night, the first thing I used to do was get off my work clothes and put my civilian clothes on. You don't get firefighters, going to the pub at night still dressed up, or you don't get, factory workers or people that work in foundries going into the pub with all the gear on. So first thing I used to do is get upstairs. And I used to have, it sounds funny, I even had work shoes and work clothes, and they were different from my everyday clothes. So I had that differentiation. The one thing I wasn't very good at, but if I had my time again now, I would do it. Years ago, people used to get all their information at 9 o'clock in the morning on the doormat through the post. And like I said, universities people still got degrees. Medicine, doctors still save people's lives. Transport still run. Planes didn't fall out of the sky. Commerce was still going ahead. But of late, with this modern technology, we can text each other. Don't be answering text after 5 o'clock. By all means, in the morning, it's because you're going into work and you need to know if, your supply teacher, or you're going on a course, or God forbid the science block's flooded or whatever. You need to know that before you go into school. But don't be reading it before you go to bed. Don't be reading before you go to bed that you've had a text, Mrs. Jones, Johnny's mum wants to see you first thing. Oh, I bet that was one the other day I told him off about his homework. And when you tell him it's something trivial, oh, by the way, Johnny's got the doctors tonight. So don't read. I would, when you leave school, answer all your emails, everything. And when you leave school, put your normal clothes on, go to bed, and then in the morning, log on at home and log on or your phone, whatever. Or take it off your phone. But by all means, log on to your email first thing in the morning, just see if you know anything. But have that differentiation. And then finally, be kind to yourself. You would never, ever, ever let anybody treat If you saw another person berating another person in the street, saying you're useless, you're no good, nobody likes you, you're rubbish at everything. Even if it was a stranger, you go up and say, whoa, whoa, that's enough. Stop that. But we do it to ourselves. And we spend a lot of time in our own heads, so make it a nice place to be. You know what I mean? And when I said before, my friend Alex, he said, trouble with you, Dave, you shouldn't go into your head without an adult being present. And that's true. So I've rabbited on for 10 minutes. I do apologise. So, little recap. Thoughts are things. Call out fear and shame it. See it for what it is. It's not real. Have clear boundaries. Work's work and home's home, and have clear boundaries. And then just be kind to yourself. Look after yourself. Treat yourself. Buy yourself a magazine every hour, or a coffee, or one night a week. Treat yourself to your favourite meal or your partner. And these are difficult times at the moment, and I can't even imagine what it's like in schools at the moment. I do imagine, because I've got people, still head teachers, that tell me, but it'll get better, and you'll get better, and don't sweat the small stuff. So if I can be of any help to anybody, get my number off Lee, and if you need to ever speak to me, or have a little phone or a Zoom call or whatever, like I said, I'm not a trained counsellor. I've got no magic wand, but all I am, I've just experienced what it's like to feel worthless. And if I can help you out in any way, I would love to do that. So, as always, keep smiling, keep ploughing on. And you guys are doing an absolutely fantastic job. You've got no guidance at all. That gentleman in Westminster that's supposed to be making the decisions, I haven't got a great amount of confidence in him. The education secretary, that is, but again, that's nothing to do. He's outside of my skin, so I'm not in control of anything he's doing. But just be kind to yourself, and I'll speak to you soon. God love you all, and as always, be brilliant. Take care and God bless now. Bye bye.